Hey, team.
Hello.
Good to see everybody. Oh, there you are. I was going, Leon, you're just a grey circle. Oh, Jack.
Kia ora, how are you guys?
Kia ora. Katoa. And with that, I am going to stumble my way through this as well. Tēnā koutou katoa, ko Tamara Pitelen toku ingoa, no o tautahi ahau, hei mātanga hāpai au, no reira, tēnā koutou katoa. Apologies to anyone who really speaks Te Reo. Good to have everybody here. Excited about talking to you guys. Congratulations for recently getting certified. On a scale of 1 to 10, how excited are you by that, Phoebe?
We're delighted. Yeah, absolutely wrapped. Yeah, felt like a long time coming, and yeah, to get it over the line was awesome.
How long did it take you, out of interest? I was going to get to that later, but I'll ask now.
Yeah, so we worked it out that it was 18 months, and we set up a dedicated meeting weekly, and we worked out that it'll probably be about 2 or 3 days a month. There were 2 beekeepers and multiple spreadsheets, and we scheduled in kind of like sort of like directors meetings to get some of those nitty-gritty kind of questions sorted. But yeah, definitely quite a bit of work.
Yeah. That's a very disciplined, well done. That's a disciplined approach to going through the certification process. That's kind of gold standard. Actually, that's how it should be done, and how many companies don't do it. But yeah, cool.
And interestingly enough, just on that, shout out to Claire who was working at Springload at the time, Wellington-based B Corp company, who had actually given us that advice in advance. And that was through the Wellington-based B Corp community. And so that was some advice from her, which was awesome right from the start.
Oh, that's actually something I should ask you. You're coming at us from Wellington, Phoebe?
Yes, coming from Wellington. So we are PS Digital, which is a creative digital agency offering services in strategy, design, marketing, web design, and web development.
Nice.
Yeah.
Thank you. Actually, yes. I'll go to Paul. I'll go to you, and if you could introduce yourself, and then also 0 to 10, how excited you are about being a newly certified B Corp.
Kia ora, Paul Button, General Manager of Rotorua Canopy Tours. Out of 10 to be a B Corp, pretty high, in the 8s and the 9s.
Nice. I very much enjoyed the fact that you got, was it the first B Corp in Rotorua, and that got you that lovely piece of coverage in the local papers, and also a bit of regional papers, actually.
Yeah, we got great coverage through that. We were through the Herald, the Dominion, and through the local rag. Yeah, no, we were the first in Rotorua, first business, and we're the first zipline business in the Southern Hemisphere to get a B Corp certification.
All right. Nice. Yeah, well done. Good stuff. Serena, particularly proud of Serena because she did the cohort program with me. So she did the B Corp. We ran a cohort where we kind of go through the B Corp certification as a group for small businesses, and Serena hit submit not long after going through that. So yes, well done you. How
we're super stoked. I think it's something that we needed to do. Sustainability has been the core of what our business has been for 15 years, but we've never actually pushed the matter or had it on paper.
Sorry,
just
Serena,
kind of live and breathe it.
Tell everyone what I know what you do, but tell everyone
perfect. So we do office furniture. So we sell secondhand ex-corporate furniture. It generally comes from banks and big corporate companies, and then we resell it to expanding business or new business as a sustainable way of furnishing office spaces, pretty much.
And how long have you been doing it? It's a wee while now, isn't it? About
15 years.
Yeah,
and the business in its current form doing office furniture has been about 15 years.
And you work with your sister? Was it your sister and you that started the business?
No, it is my mum. So my mum started it, and she retired a couple of years ago, and then I've been at the reins since then.
Great stuff. Thanks, Serena. Antz, do you want to tell us about Fairground accounting?
Yeah, tēnā koutou katoa. So, ko Otatahi Aho, ko Anthony Rohan tōku ingoa. Yeah, Fairground Accounting, based here in Christchurch and in Wellington. So really, we support purpose-driven people to create amazing impact-driven enterprises to help make the world a better place. And 1 to 10 on the B Corp excitement scale. I've got to be honest. I'm at the start. I was putting on the fake 10 mask for a little bit, because once you finally get through the whole process, I just felt that kind of like big wave of relief and just like exhaustion. And then they're like, yeah, you're certified. You're like, yeah, I'm really excited about it. But actually getting out and talking about it and telling people has genuinely made me feel like really uplifted. So yeah, I'm pretty up there at the 9-10 genuinely now.
I know what you I kind of know what I have an analogy similar. Before I turned 30, I decided I wanted to run a marathon. So I went to run the London Marathon when I was age 29. And at the end of that, I had all these people at the end of the marathon going, yay, they had champagne bottles waiting for me. And I basically dragged myself across the last line of the London Marathon, and I really didn't care at that point about anything but lying under a tree. Wasn't excited until a couple of days later when I could walk again. So yeah, I get that it can be exhausting to get across the line, can't it? Eleri, very recent. Oh, Eleri, I think you might be muted, or is it just me? Oh no, now you're muted. Try talking again. Can anyone hear Eleri? It's not just me, is it? No. Eleri, I'll come back to you in a minute. Hopefully you can find out what's going on there. And Leon, Augusto, tell us about Augusto.
Tēnā koe, how are you all? Apologies if I've got a little bit of dodgy internet and also wind in the microphone. I'm outside. I'm over filming in the Barossa Valley, making wine. Well, I'm not. I'm filming somebody else making wine, so it's a tough job. Augusto is a group of 5 companies, actually. It's an advertising agency, a fast turnaround video production company called Corner Store, a documentary production company called Dark Doris, and also a technology company developing apps and the like. And we're a purpose-driven company. My wife and I started it 15 years ago, and there's about 40 odd staff up in Auckland and a little satellite office over in New York, of all places. And we started our B Corp journey a little while ago whilst we were over in the States, and a CEO who we had at the time was taking care of the process, so I was blissfully ignorant as to the pain that she was going through at the time. Just in the board meetings, you're like, how's the B Corp thing going? And she'd be like, yeah, it's hard. And then when we moved back during COVID, and she took another job somewhere, so we took the reins again, and I was tasked with taking on the B Corp, finishing it up. And I naively thought, it's be easy. I'll just get in and smash it out. And then sort of 6 months later of tears and blood and grime, and, it was, we finally got it done, and very much similar story of just relief more than anything. And we haven't yet gone out and really told our story. We haven't sort of done the marketing push yet to tell everybody that we are B Corp. We sort of feel that it's a little bit more, getting the certification sort of to us feels more like a stamp of approval or something for what we have become or what we are currently. What we're looking to do now, before we really go out and make a bit of too much of a big of a song and dance about it, we kind of want we're B Corp and we're going to do, or what we sort of need. We're finding that we don't want to just turn it into a marketing ploy. We sort of want a little bit more now that we've got the accreditation. We're sort of looking for now just what that means and how we're going to go forward. So we've got relief, and we're excited, but we're probably more excited about finding out what the next phase means for us and what it means in a meaningful, practical sense.
Yeah. I didn't realize Augusto had that many arms to its operations.
Right.
There you go.
That's,
Eleri,
it's
sorry, Leon. How are you doing, Eleri? Can we hear you yet?
Yes, can you guys hear me?
Yes. Fabulous.
Yay.
Do you want to tell us about Haka Educational Tours?
Yeah, kia ora everyone. Awesome to be here. So I'm co-founder and GM of Haka Educational Tours, and our mission is to broaden young minds through impactful travel experiences. So basically how we do that is we run high impact trips and camps for school groups, university groups and sports teams all over the world. We are very new in our B Corp journey. We received a certification just last month. So we've sort of done a soft launch and we haven't had a full hard launch or celebration yet. So I think, yeah, definitely feeling pretty stoked, but can't wait to get the team together, which hasn't happened yet, and properly celebrate it.
In appropriate fashion. Yes.
Yes.
Yeah, nice. Yes. Great, thank you, everyone. So, first thing I wanted to just ask everyone. Oh, and just a small thing. This doesn't have to be. We can run this conversation however you guys want to. So I can just ask questions and you can answer, or we can discuss amongst yourselves. If someone says something you want to speak to, please feel free. But the first thing I wanted to know was what motivated you all to begin this process, and from first deciding and then getting, how long was that? I think Phoebe's already said it was 18 months, but for the rest of you, how was it? Paul, shall I start with you? Why did you do it? When did you first hear about it, and how long did it take?
We first heard about it by a gentleman named Ben Mayo who runs an SEO company we were using. But Canopy Tours has probably always been a B Corp because we do tons of conservation work, we do tons of stuff for the community and for our staff. And we just and we're kind of famous because we lead with our conservation. So we kind of wanted something that would show the other stuff we do, like an accreditation to actually show you how well we look after our community and our people. And so when I heard about the B Corp, it was awesome. It's just like the next step. And also in the tourism industry, like, you know, Canopy Tours led with sustainability first 12 years ago when we opened, and people thought it was strange. And now everybody kind of plants a tree or traps a pest, and it's kind of the norm. So we wanted to do something where we could raise the bar in industry to allow the industry to keep rising the tide to keep up.
Yeah.
That was kind of our drive, and we, you know, like for the other tourism folk, you know, Eleri is pretty cool that you're up there too, and you know now you don't want to be the last person, right? You want to be the next person, and so for us, we jumped on, I think in April 2021, and it took us 2 years to 21 months to get it certified, and it only took us 6 weeks to do the certification, or 3 weeks, and then we pushed the button. Well, we didn't really have to do much apart from just work with Timmy and find out if we could prove what we did, and then we just waited in line for that 21 months. I guess we kind of caught the crest of the wave where the demand was really high.
I think you did. I think you just, you must have kind of hit submit just as B Lab were having the really long queues for verification.
Yeah, so we got the B Corp as just a relief. It was just like, oh, that's over, sweet, you know, like But you know, in retrospect, it's like you say about the marathon. A few days later, you're like, oh, that's so cool, we got it.
Yeah. Looking at, I have obviously not been to Rotorua Canopy Tours yet, but looking at your website and looking at what you do, I can't wait. Looks amazing what you guys get up to up there.
It's a cool product, and we're definitely doing a lot of stuff that people don't, you know. So there's really, it's quite cutting edge in a lot of ways.
Yeah, and I love that you're showing your B Corp poster right there on your desk, Paul. Nice.
B Corp is on the door of the building. It's we've sent out emails to all of our database, you know, so there's 50,000 people that have been exposed to it.
Amazing.
And you know, we're pretty stoked.
Yeah, no, that's fantastic, because that also lifts our hearts here at Grow Good, because we really want B Corps to shout about being a B Corp, because ultimately that's what's going to grow the movement. That's what's going to drive the influence and drive the change in the way the world does business. Yeah. So Phoebe, what was your motivation for taking on the B Corp journey?
Yeah, so we've always been quite an ethically based, and So PS Digital was set up by my husband and I 16 years ago, and we had worked, in a number of different countries and different types of agencies, I guess. And we wanted to set up a really cool agency that, kind of did things the right way, the better way, a way that was going to be a great experience for the workers. So we knew that we would qualify for a lot of, I guess, the requirements. And I think for us, it was like, hey, we just need to document all the stuff that we do, all this amazing, great stuff we do, have really high staff retention, and we have a great business. And this amazing accreditation, really aligned with our values. And we were just like, wow. So for us, it was really motivating to, I guess, go through that documentation process, which also kind of has shaped up our business, because, you say you do these things, but actually to prove that you do these things is another thing entirely. So we were really motivated because we knew that we would get over the line. And I think that, whilst it's a marathon to get over the line, it's really just the beginning of the journey, because I agree with Leon that it's really important for your vision to keep growing, because you're almost ticking off all these good things that you have and you do, and you say, all these things that you're ticking off, but you're kind of like, there's all those things that you can't tick off or don't tick off that I'm really excited to get into. So I whilst the marathon happened, the journey's just begun. I feel.
Yeah, no, 100%. That continuous improvement piece, and I often say this to anyone who listens, is that in the process of working with clients on their B Corp journey, and especially ones that have just come to it, the moment I love, one of the best moments for me, is when I see that aha moment, when they kind of get it. It's like, business as a force for good. Because you can say those words a million times, but there's a point where you get them. They kind of sink in, and now you get addicted to doing more good. It becomes like this addiction almost, and that's the minute when I see a client that just kind of the penny drops. That's a moment I love. Anywho,
I was just going to add to that, Phoebe, that I totally agree with all of that. That it's that measurement. The other thing that I've actually really found, and I even find it now on this call with all of you, it's actually more about other suppliers and what have you. The community, you instantly start looking for other people who are B Corp certified to work with. In as much that we've just bought a building and we're needing to do renovations to it and stuff in the IT thing, and I instantly now start looking, which B Corp IT companies can I work with for the new fit out of the building? Or, Phoebe, we need web work done. I'm like, awesome, got to call Phoebe. We need office furniture, and you find yourself kind of going, Serena, got to catch up with Serena, and that's largely because you're going to be buying from somebody who has the same ethical standards as you, or at least cares in a similar way to you. And I've found that as helpful as anything else, just, being part of that community. Feels like that's been the biggest benefit for us so far.
Nice. Yeah. Actually, that's the point I want to ask about the biggest benefits later. But let's continue with motivation for doing it in the first place. Antz, what was your motivation?
Yeah, I think when we kicked off back in 2012, and I think maybe a couple of years after that, we'd come across B Corp, and I think back then there was Eagle, and I think Tim had just been like the freshest B Corp. He was about number 3 or number 4 at the time, and I remember just vibing with it straight away and going, yeah, this is like what we're about. This sounds really awesome. I think it was just one of those, when you're in startup phase and you're just trying to get the business off the ground, you just think, yep, something I'd like to do, but we'll get to it. So we did give it a shot in 2016, but I think maybe being a little bit naive at the time, we think we had the right answers to the questions, but back then it was probably a little bit more Americanized. So when they came back and took some of our points away, we felt a bit sad about that. But always been with the support of Tim and Kath from Eagle. They've been great advocates and kept me
Eleri, I haven't asked you, have I, the motivation for Haka? Or I might have asked you, but not today. Now.
No.
Yeah.
Yeah, look, I guess for us, impact's in our DNA. It's obviously in our mission. B Corp, I guess, provided a tool to measure that impact, which I hadn't come across before. So I particularly love the framework in the sense of it being very holistic, and it unpacks, as we know, every single aspect of your business and your business activity. And I love how transparent that is, which is something that's really important to us. I think the fact also, as we've all talked about, it's not just a certificate and poster that you put on your wall and it gathers dust. It is a lifelong commitment to doing better as a business. So that, I guess, was a huge difference to other certifications that we looked at. And when you work through that assessment, you just unpack so much in terms of future impact opportunities. Like that bookmark and function, I can't remember how many times I would press it, because it's just inspirational to think of, okay, well, what's next for us? What does that look like? Digging into the supply chain and working with our partners like Canopy Tours. That's just one of hopefully many, many more organizations in the tourism space that we can get on board. But I particularly found that, yeah, quite aspirational, I guess, in thinking long term, what could that look like? And then finally, it's globally recognized. So that's really important for us as we work in many, many different markets all over the world, and to have that recognized globally, you know, alongside some of the fantastic sustainability certificates that we've got here in tourism in New Zealand, that again just adds that extra layer of validation, if we want to call it that. Those
the
probably
validation. Sorry, keep talking over you. The validation's a really important piece, and also as you spoke to, it offers a roadmap for businesses who may not have. I mean, I know until I started getting into the BIA, I'd never really considered, supply chain. It's good to get into that, is it? Okay, yeah. So it gives pointers to businesses that just wouldn't have thought of it otherwise. Anyway, thank you. Serena, I don't think I've asked you the motive. Well, again, I think I probably asked you at some point, but not today. The motivation for George Walker's going down this road.
Yeah, I think for us it was, we wanted to prove that it is, you know, we are a sustainable business, that we it's the core of what we do and it always has been. I think we got into a bit of a rut where, because it is just what we do, we didn't think that it needed to be explained or talked about. So when we were looking at ways that we can, you know, put something behind us that just proves that we are who we are, B Corp really jumped out to us, and just how transparent the whole thing is. There's no hiding from anything. Like, everything is on the table, which I really, really liked. I think for us, the framework that it's provided as well has been invaluable to just how we proceed going forward as well, and we can always get better, and there's things we can improve on, and yeah,
absolutely. continuous
Yeah,
improvement.
I think, and it's just, it's strengthened our reputation as well. Like, people know
Nice.
what we do, and we, but having the backing of it, and just that little bit of proof, I think, makes it all
Yeah.
worthwhile.
Yeah, I remember, and my next question, we've lost Leon, which is a shame. Could be the Barossa Valley Wi-Fi, who knows. So I also want to, because I remember, because again, Serena, you haven't, it was quite recently you've done it as well, and I remember you saying that the last couple of months, or getting all the evidence in, was actually a lot of work, some late hours, some headaches, quite frankly. Some headaches. My next question to everyone is, so the process itself on the pain scale, and how did you manage the pain? Like Serena, I think most of it was yours, to be honest, but in the other businesses, did you manage to sprinkle this pain around the team a little bit more?
I
Serena,
think,
you want to start?
yeah. So I think for us, it was, I'm not the best at admin. That's not my forte. So the spreadsheets and the gathering of information, and all that kind of stuff, I did struggle with. But I was lucky we've got a pretty nice little team here who we all chipped away at it together, which was nice. And everything's stored in our heads. So for us, getting it on paper was a massive task. But it's one that's really paid off for us as well, because it's something that should have been done, to be quite frank, that hadn't been done. So yeah, it was once we got into the certification part of it, and they'd come back with questions, and we were going, like, I think there was one question in particular that we completely misunderstood. And so what they were asking about information about our customers. And so we went through and did like this massive spreadsheet about all of our customers. And then they were like, oh no, we didn't actually need that. And I was just like,
Oh no.
oh no. We've just spent hours. And what they needed was really simple, and I could have given it to them in 5 minutes, but I think I just overlooked it because some of it was so in depth. I then started looking at everything really closely, and probably could have saved us a few hours. But it was still a good opportunity. I learned a whole lot about my customers that I didn't know either. So
great exercise. Yeah.
Silver linings.
So a bit painful. And how just remind me, Serena, how big is your team?
We've got a team of 6.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. Phoebe, what was the pain scale for you? And
I think initially, you're kind of like, whoa, look at these 5 sections, look at all these questions, and you're kind of a bit like, I felt like we sprinkled through the questions, and then we went, oh, hang on a minute, what have we done? What haven't we done? And I don't think we were utilizing the bookmark feature. So that would be my one huge hack for anyone doing it, is to use that bookmark feature, because it was just invaluable, became so good. And then, spreadsheets were really, really helpful to try and get things sorted. But I think also too, it was obviously working with Tim and Tamara that was really encouraging for us, in the way that there was definitely some things we didn't understand. I agree, Serena, there's definitely a couple of things we misinterpret, or maybe the wording is just kind of, it's said in a way that you're not quite clear what they actually really want from you. And so you just kind of go, oh no, we can't do that. Or we don't want to say, we don't want to be clicking anything that we can't qualify, or that's not true. But then it was like you guys were able to clarify, oh no, that just means this, this, and this. And then we're like, and it sort of unlocked, it's kind of a game of Pokemon in a way, where you're like unlocking these little things where you're like, oh, we're in there. And so I think, there was probably a little, we were held back a little bit by maybe not understanding everything properly. But then once you kind of get in, I think it was really good. I do think that another challenge, I think, could be anybody that tries to do it in isolation. And I'm a big believer that getting the whole team on board, we're a team of 10, and everybody was on board and everybody knew. And we had, when we have our, the particular weekly meeting, we would give an update on where we were at and how people could help. And I think so the whole company became quite invested. And so that was really encouraging for the people who were the beekeepers who were specifically working on it. And again, I think, I'm one of the directors of our company, but I have spoken to other people on the journey who maybe they're not the owners or directors of a company, and it's quite hard work because there's a lot of big decisions or a lot of big questions that need to come from the owners of the company. So I think having regular meetings with the directors is probably a really good idea as well.
Yeah, no, that you've touched on two of our key pieces of advice here. Get your whole team on board. Everyone needs to be invested and excited and engaged and involved in this process. And leadership buy-in. Yeah, there's just no point if you don't have buy-in and enthusiasm from the highest parts of your company. So no, gold standard. Phoebe, you're doing so great. Paul, and what about you? How painful, I think you might have said a little bit about this before, but how long, drawn out? And I said, for this round, we'll just focus on the pain. We'll come to the pleasure part of it later. So was it onerous, or what were the challenging bits for you?
I we didn't find it too onerous. We were pretty excited at the start. We had a presentation for the whole team, but we just worked, our leadership group of 5 did it. But it was just ensuring we could prove what we said. But our initial submission was we were at 165 points. We kind of smashed it in a lot of ways because we were already doing that stuff. Yeah. And then during those 21 months, there was the odd email, and I'd just reply, and you'd send a bit of data here and there, and then we hired an accountant, a full-time accountant, just as we came up to be certified. So she kind of sent a bit of the stuff for the auditing, the staff list, and whatever, a bit of data proof. But it was pretty chill.
Nice.
I wasn't too overcome by many emotions. I kind of got excited, then I got over it. I was just like, because it was so long, it's just like, whatever, it's never going to happen, who cares? But then when we came into the sticky end, it was good. And actually, there's a bit of pressure because we're taking out a bank loan just straight afterwards. And there's a bit of pressure to get the B Corp from the bank so we get access to sustainability loans.
Nice.
We managed to do it. We saved 27 grand in our first year, just by B Corp.
Wow.
That's awesome.
Yeah, we probably got $5,000 or $8,000 of PR, and then into a big chunk of our loan. It was awesome.
Good stuff. Yeah, leverage that B Corp certification, Paul. Well done.
Yeah, we didn't do it for that, but you do everything for a marketing benefit, so it's definitely helping.
Yeah, you might as well leverage the benefits. Absolutely. Eleri, how was it for your team?
Yeah, I mean, we're quite a very small team. So it's myself and Annika. We were the beekeepers, and we did have support from 2 or 3 other team members as well. But I guess because we're small, we're very agile, and we're pretty, sort of set up from a process and systems point of view. So we actually didn't find it too onerous. Most of the data was there. It was just gathering it. And I think if you are quite agile in that sense, then it makes things easier. There definitely were some curveballs thrown with validating the data. And we were knocking our heads against the wall a few times. But honestly, for me, I was just like, this is hard for a reason. That's all I kept saying to myself. If it was this easy, then every company would be doing it. So I was just like, this is the process. We need to go through it. If this is what it takes, then I'm glad that it's this difficult because it's going to be worth it in the end. So I just try to keep a positive mindset around it. And it kind of got us through, I think. Yeah.
No, nice. Exactly. Yeah, no, that's exactly what we say too. It's kind of like, if it was easy, it wouldn't mean anything. So, what just out of interest, what were if you remember, what were the curveball moments?
One particular moment jumps to mind where our track changed from a provider with minor environmental footprint to major, and that unlocked a whole heap of questions with regards to where we operate, what are we doing in order to protect the environment that we're operating in, and that required a lot more information. So we obviously had to find that information, and it wasn't easy, and it did take time, and that's probably what slowed us down in the end with being able to get the assessment completed. But we got there.
Got there in the end. Yeah. And Antz, how was the process for you?
Yeah, I think we went about it thinking, going through the B impact assessment, thinking, yep, these are things that we're definitely doing, and with a mindset of like, look, that definitely is something that we should be doing or can easily be doing. So it really forced us to think a little bit more around the processes and go, yeah, well, why don't we have a process around that, or why couldn't we be doing better? I think and then once we pushed submit on the application, I think we kind of thought we had a bit of a gap because I thought there was quite a long queue, and we thought, it could be up to 9 months until they get to you to start doing the verification. So we sort of thought, okay, we'll have a bit of a breather. But I think for anyone doing it, even if you think you've got that time, spend that time just gathering your evidence together, because when they do, when B Lab does reach out and say, okay, it's time for verification, how are you placed next week? And you're like, you've kind of got to, that's your opportunity. Well, you can obviously reschedule, but yeah, just have everything in place ready to go so that you can just jump on and start going through that verification. But yeah, it was interesting. There were a few, like Eleri, there were a few little curveballs that made us think. But I think what it did is it really challenged us to think a lot deeper about the answers that we'd given. And it sort of going, we can actually give a proper answer now, as opposed to just ticking the box and saying, yep, we do that.
Yeah, absolutely. And as Serena mentioned before, what we hear a lot from clients is, yeah, we do all that, but all the information's in our head, or we just never written it down before. And that process of collating things, getting stuff that just people know in their heads because they've been doing it so long, getting those processes down, that's part of the I don't want to keep using the word pain, but part of the process that can be a challenge. But once you've done it, like, super worth it, because you get to kind of assess things and rethink. And we've been doing it this way for this long, but is this the best way? We could always do it this way. Yeah. Great. Thank you, everybody. I kind of want to know as well, was the process what you expected it to be? And if not, how was it not? And also, just going to add in here again as well, if you want to ask each other questions, please just jump in and do that too. I'm going to, Serena, I'll start with you. So was the process, and I have to apologize, can't feel responsible for you misunderstanding that question that made you spend 3 months doing a PDF you didn't need to. Sorry about that.
No, that all happened during the validation process. So it didn't happen when we were going through the B impact assessment. I think when we did the assessment, I was flying through it. I was just like, we've got this, we've got this, we've got this, we've got this. This is easy. Like, what is this? Like, we've got all
What's
this.
everyone going on about? It's so easy.
What's everyone going on about? And then I was like, at the end of the cohort, I'd pretty much just before the end of it had already submitted the assessment, and I was thinking in my mind, I was just going, oh, this is it, we're done. Like, they'll just check all my answers, tick it off, and that's that. No. That's not what happens. then they go through it all, ask you for some extra stuff, which was totally fine. I probably exaggerate. It wasn't as hard as I made it sound. I think it took us about 6 months all up from the assessment to certification. But
wow,
it was just the when they were coming back and the spreadsheets and things like that that we sort of struggled with, I guess.
6 months,
but it really wasn't that difficult. Yeah, it wasn't that difficult.
6 months is a really short amount of time, Serena. We went through it at quite the pace, to be honest. That's not long at all.
No, I keep hearing all this, and I'm like, oh, we did
quite well. 2 years, 3 years.
Yeah.
I mean, obviously, some companies are more complicated and all the rest of it. But
yeah.
Okay, so all right, cool.
It wasn't that
Thank
bad.
you. Cool.
I think everyone
Phoebe-
should do it.
Yeah, well, exactly. Yes, everyone should do it.
Yeah.
Phoebe, was it what you expected it to be? Or were there any
Yeah.
surprises?
I mean, I think it was this kind of like all over the show. Like, I think it was way better. I think it was way longer. And I think it was way more involved than I imagined. I really enjoyed it. And I think that probably the bigger picture of it is that I really enjoyed working on the business and not just in the business, which I think we all are really guilty of. And I think that is really lovely to work on the business. And my husband and I are really passionate about our business and what we do. So to allocate some time to kind of making it better and documenting that was awesome. I really loved it, and I found that really fulfilling. And the beekeeper that I worked with has been incredible. And I think that, like, it was quite a bonding exercise for us. And I probably that was not part of my expectation. And I really enjoyed it. And Wellington has a really amazing network of people that help each other and get together and have these get-togethers. And I've met so many people on the journey. It was better and longer and harder and more involved. It was probably not what I expected.
Yeah, amazing. Yeah, no, seriously, you're just leveraging all the benefits that we like businesses to leverage from it. So go you. Are you part of the Be Local Wellington community? Do you go?
Yeah. So I go to all the events and everything. Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah. I'm not part of the organisation of it, but
you, you've met the other local B Corp.
Yes, definitely. Yep. And yes, no, they have a really great series of get-togethers, and the people running it have been super supportive and helpful before we certified, and then obviously going forward. And I mean, anyone Wellington-based that wants to have a peppermint tea with me, I'm happy to chat about it. Help anyone on their journey too.
Nice, thanks for that. Yes, yeah, exactly. Paul, was it everything you thought it would be?
I don't know. It was just such a non-event, right? You get excited, you submit, and then you wait nearly 2 years. And when we got verified, that was really sort of uneventful too. It was very dull. Like I think we got a new person, and so we had this panel of 6, and nobody spoke except for this one person that kind of had no idea what she was doing, and she asked a lot of questions that would kind of felt like you would know if you knew New Zealand, like about public health care and things like that. So it was quite confusing. It was kind of like, we've got public health care, okay, can you give me proof? You're like, okay, like here's the website, the government ACC for it. And then I didn't actually realise that was our assessment, our verification chat. It was kind of like, oh, is that it? Oh, okay, cool, thanks.
Wow.
And then we awkwardly went our way, and then we got verified soon after that. There's a couple of pieces, but it was, I guess it was just a journey right through the excitement of the original assessment, a few weeks, whatever it was, and then push submit. You're like, oh yeah, it's going to take a few months. I can't wait till 2 years later, and you're like, oh yeah, whatever, who cares? This is and then the dullness of the actual verification. But most of the verification has been done, I think, because we've been tapping away a little bit here and there, but. I guess just the elation, once we get the B Corp, then you could leverage it and do fun stuff with it, and then, share it amongst our industry, which we're relatively proud of,
Yeah, great. Well, that's one of the more unusual verification stories I've heard, to be honest. But
I don't look back on with much emotion at all. I was just like, oh, was that it? Oh, okay, cool.
No, the fact that you had somebody. You said you had 6 verifiers on your call.
Maybe 4, 6, 4, maybe 4. Timmy was on the call. He jumped on and helped us out. And he texted me. He was texting, he texted on the old video call under the table. He said, I think we've got the weekend girl. I didn't quite understand what he meant by that, but when we got off the call, he said, yeah, that person's brand new, man. This must be their first one. That's why they've been shadowed. That's unusual. So maybe you did get someone who's only just become a verifier and she was being, don't know. Which is not everyone's got stuff, but we weren't quite sure. Like I genuinely did not know that was a verification call.
Wow. Okay.
Right. I'm probably like, okay, sweet. Call at 9 o'clock. Okay, jump on.
Yeah.
Not that prepared at the best of times.
Oh, okay. Anyway, gosh, we haven't had time. Eleri and Antz, I need to get to you as far as was the process what you expected of it, and I might have to throw my other question because I didn't realise it was already called 5. I'm wanting to also know from you guys your biggest tips and for others who are doing it, and also the benefit. If you've seen a benefit yet, what is the biggest benefit so far? So tips, benefits. And I also wanted to touch on, okay, now I almost feel guilty even mentioning this yet. You've just got your new lovely certificate, and now I'm like, and so recertification, have you thought about that? What's the plan for the next 3 years? Are you, is it part of, I'm not going to think about this again for another 2.5 years, and then I'll do it all in the last 6 months? Or is it a case of you're going to kind of progress it over the next 3 years? So, Eleri, you want to answer those 20 questions? All at once. Yeah.
I'll try and remember what your questions were. Was it what we were expecting? I would say yes. I had sort of spoken to a lot of B Corps, and obviously, yeah, we had Tim and Jess from Grow Good. They talked us through that process. I asked a lot of questions. So I think I went in there knowing this is going to be a journey. And for us, it took, I guess, 2 years in total. We started the process in early 2022, and then we started the assessment in November 2022. We submitted the assessment in July 2023, and obviously we were certified last month. So yeah, 2 years in total. The wait times in between, I think probably similar to Paul and Canopy Tours, we were in the thick of long wait times. So I maybe didn't expect as much of a delay in terms of communications. Like we were kind of having itchy feet, wanting to move, and that process took a while. But yeah, obviously just patient and get there in the end. Any tips? My tips would be, I guess, in terms of data collection and verification, we've talked about it before, just using that time in between the verification process to gather that data, and don't feel like you sort of have to do everything yourself and take it all on yourself. So bringing the team on board to make that process as easy as possible. And yeah, I think for me, just sort of really logically working through that assessment, trying not to get too overwhelmed with all of the questions, using the bookmark function. That was my favorite button. And yeah, just having a really logical process of like, okay, let's just take this one step at a time, work through it, and try not to get sort of too overwhelmed. In terms of recertification, I'll be honest, we haven't thought about that yet, but we have a lot of flagged impact improvement aspects of the certification that we are starting to think about now. So that will come in due course. But first, we fully need to celebrate.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Antz, can I come to you? And tips, benefits, how was it for you? Recertification, any of those?
Yeah, cool. I think B Corp do a lot. The process is all quite documented out, so you can sort of see the steps and where you are in the process. I think the biggest thing for us was just didn't understand like the context of how big or important or how long each step would be. It's a bit like you, Paul. I kind of got on that. We were all getting nervous leading up to that verification call, going, "Oh, this is going to be so." And I think it was like 40 minutes, some basic questions, and it's all good. We'd geared ourselves up for it a bit too much, but yeah, look, don't go alone. Talk to other B Corps. You've got some amazing, like Tim and Tam, just amazing people to tap into. I think for us, we've taken some ideas from it as well. So it helped to do things like get all that knowledge out of our head and do things like create an employee handbook. Like we knew all this stuff, we were doing it all, but we actually put it all together into one handbook. And now we've been doing things like we've had some new staff start, had some interns, and we've been able to actually go to that handbook and go through it with them. It's really good to internally have those sort of resources now. But we have picked things a bit like Eleri, of like we're going to work on between now and the next one, but we're only 1 month in, so we're not too focused on the recertification just yet, thankfully.
Yeah, no, fair enough. Brilliant. Thanks, Antz. Serena, you've already talked about how it was for you, but what about biggest tip, biggest benefit? If you've noticed anything?
Biggest tip would probably be to just engage your stakeholders, involve your employees and your customers and suppliers. Their input and support is super important and really helpful. It gives you a bit of perspective as well in seeing where other people are or view things. In regards to certification, I think we've picked out some things that we need to improve on or implement. We haven't started working on those yet. We're just getting our feet wet. But it'll be stuff that we look at doing over the next 12 months, probably 12 to 18 months.
Okay, thanks. And Phoebe, have you noticed, I know it's early days to be noticing any benefits, but if you have, or if you have a tip.
Yeah, I mean, I think the bookmarks, you know, I agree with Eleri. It's very, very much like once we got into the bookmark world, we were like, wow, this is great. I think just also too, someone had said to me back in the sort of earlier days is just start doing it, because it's almost like you initially feel almost timid to crack into certain areas, or you're not sure of the answer or maybe what answer is required. But I think just get going. And I also think that, you know, the journey is the great bit, the learning more and understanding more about your business and qualifying more about your business and how it works is actually really beneficial. So just, enjoy the journey, I guess. In terms of recertifying, we've talked about it. We are a service-based business. So unlike a product-based business, we have different challenges. So in terms of the environment, there's obviously things we can work on, and we did work on, but there are some things that we kind of have left. And so I'm looking forward to cracking into some of those things, because I think, you know, you do just tend to tick off what you can tick off. But it's left the sort of gaps that we want to look into, like, you know, your carbon footprint, for example, and maybe doing some carbon invoicing with clients. And I mean, I think that I just think that it's an exciting opportunity to continue the marathon. Yeah,
great. Thank you so much. And Paul, if I could ask you about any advice you might have for other wannabes, if you've noticed any benefits yet, and what are your plans for recertification if it's not too early?
No plans for recertification, really. We submitted on what was at the time the highest score in New Zealand, and then we only passed by like 2%. We passed with 82 points, and we submitted with 165. We unlocked 3 impact models, but during the process they removed them, and we just couldn't be bothered even they were, and then they'd add them in the verification call, but we just couldn't be bothered dealing with it, so I wouldn't even pass, who cares? So we've got all that stuff, but we sort of do a lot of conservation work, and we didn't even include that in our application in the end. So we feel for the recertification we should be relatively fine.
Yeah.
But definitely benefits are, I kind of feel like if you're not first, you're last. Like I think this will sweep the world, right? And this will be the standard. And I think I'll be an early adopter as opposed to the one trailing. We're visitor-facing. International visitors are sort of 60% of our business. And I think over time, people will really start, there will be a marketing piece in terms of people being attracted to the business. But I think if you can message this and lead it in that brand positioning, I think you're always you do well, and other businesses will follow. And I guess for us now, it's like, what's next? Like, what's the next cool certification or accreditation we can get to then keep driving the organisation or keep driving the industry forwards?
Yeah. And I think, well, obviously we've already spoken to it already, but a big benefit for you was getting that big piece in the New Zealand Herald. So
Herald Post, there's a bunch of stuff. $27,000 off the loan, 2.6% off the your bank loans. That's the bank manager was chasing us down because he wanted us to be his first B Corp client.
Wow. That is interesting. Just out of interest, is anybody else in that space where they're looking for funding, or is that something that could be No, not okay. Yeah, no, it's not for every company. Ah, lovely. Right, how are we doing? 6 minutes to 5. Is there anything that I haven't asked you, or that you think it's worth that you want to bring up, or do you have any questions for each other? Anything else you want to say about being a newborn B Corp?
Well, I'd like to just to say something like my mindset or my experiences, and with the people that you talk to, in our industry at least, I'd say don't be afraid of doing it because you're going to be closer than you think. Don't be intimidated by the process. Because a lot of tourism businesses, and I can only speak for tourism, they do a ton of cool stuff. I think in some ways tourism's we've got this moral position where we're supposed to do good because people feel we take from the environment, from the regions. And so a lot of tourism businesses do a lot of really cool stuff for the environment, community, for their team, but they don't really sing out because it's just normal. It's considered the expectations. I think in our industry, at least, I think a lot of businesses would get it quite easily. They just have to go through the process.
Nice. Yeah. I think we hear a lot of rustling in the tourism world, like me and Tim at Grow Good. We hear a lot of interest, definitely there's more interest in B Corp certification within your industry.
We've got certifications to pay for, right? And they've got their standards that you adhere to, and you don't have to. There's no accountability. Where this is actually like voluntary, you pay for it, you get it. Like it's just not a tick box. It's actually raising the bar in that sense.
Yeah, and I think if the New Zealand tourism industry really embraced B Corp, that would actually help us, globally.
Very much so. Like Rotorua as a region should get the most B Corps per capita of the country, right, or the world, or whatever,
Yeah. I think a lot of tourists look to New Zealand for that reason. They want to.
They come here clean for nature. They think we're clean and green. And,
Exactly.
B Corp helps support that.
Yeah. Thanks, Paul. Anyone else? Any final kind of thoughts or comments or anything you want to talk about before we?
I think if you're thinking about B Corp, like if you're on this call, if you've been at the summit throughout the day, you're probably, like Paul said, you're probably more closer aligned to getting those 80 points than you think, because you're probably fundamentally, if you already connect with what the whole B Corp movement is about, your values are probably already intertwined into your organization. I mean, if you're like a bit more of an owner-operator organization. So I'd say, and even if you don't want to go down the B Corp certification route, even just doing the impact assessment, which is free to do, you'll get so much benefit out of just doing that, even if you don't want to continue on with the process, because you'll be like, those are some good ideas. I could do that.
100%, Antz. Yes. Yeah. I mean, I say that to this because the reality is that for really small businesses like sole traders or just 2-people businesses, the barrier to entry is the annual certification cost. So I say to those businesses, don't worry about certification. Just use the free tool as an ESG framework, as a blueprint, and maybe in 5 years or so. But it's a blueprint for being a better business. And by better, we mean more prosperous as well as more sustainable. So just use the tool. I'm interested, actually. Okay, so I'm going to ask all of you your favorite B Corp that isn't yours and isn't in this meeting. So do you have a favorite B Corp or an inspirational B Corp? Phoebe, do you have one?
Oh, I feel like that's a really tough question.
I can start.
I'll just put it out there. Being a good Wellington-based girl, I really admire Fix and Fog. They were early on, and I think that I'm a service-based business, and so I know what it's like to qualify under that sort of criteria, or they're a product-based business, and I can't begin to imagine how complicated and how many other kind of things they've had to kind of factor in, and they've recertified. And I think they are a really great example of the ethos the culture, the mentality. Yeah, I think they're a great. I think they're a great.
No,
example.
I love them too. I have some of their almond butter in my pantry right now. So yeah,
Delicious
agreed.
product as well.
Yeah. Anyone else want to shout out to their favourite B Corps that aren't in this room?
I like Sawmill Brewery. They
Sawmill Brewery, yes.
Awesome location up Matakana. And I went there and I actually asked one of their employees randomly if people that go there because of the B Corp status, and he said that he didn't know if they did, but he knew all about the B Corp. He's really engaged. He talked about the leadership and how the leadership engaged everybody. And I was like, wow, that's really cool. Like, it's really part of the business. And they lead the can, which I think is really cool.
What was that last thing, Paul?
They lead the brand on their can, but they allow their product space to have the B Corp brand.
Yeah. No, I love Sawmill Brewery. They're doing such a great mahi up there, aren't they? Any other shout out B Corps before we say good night?
Yes, aspirational business and visionary leader for me would be Atik and Brianne. I think she has built just an empire and is just a testament to how a business can be a force for good globally. So super aspirational, what they've been able to achieve from an environmental and social impact side, and seeing that the impact that she's created, not just in the beauty industry, but holistically. Now obviously going into the drink space, I think it's pretty aspirational.
She's a force of nature, isn't she? No, I'm a big fan. Yeah. Totally. And the Chia Sisters, first solar powered juicery up there in Nelson. Yeah, there's some really amazing, but right here in Aotearoa, there's some just amazing mahi being done by B Corps in our country, which makes me very proud. And now you guys are in that family, so just feel sad. So proud. Okay, guys. It's now 5 o'clock, so you probably want to go home and have your dinner and stuff like that, or whatever. So, but please let me sincerely thank you for your time, for your energy, for your positivity, your work in this space, your influence, everything else. Thank you so much, and just in general, but also thank you for being part of this hour-long chat. It's been brilliant, and we appreciate it very much. Awesome. I will bid you farewell and wish you a lovely evening, and hope to catch up with you all at some point again soon.
Awesome. Thanks, Tamara.
Cool. Thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome.
Thank you. See you guys.
Ka kite.